Hi, I'm Nancy from the Upside Down. And so we're going to start class. Oh no, is your computer upside down? You should turn it over. Good job.
Why do you have to do that?
I don't know, because it's been a long day. Why not try to make myself smile? So I figured starting the class with a little cartoon made me smile. So, Mr. Brovicast, that just makes you weird. No, so much I do makes me weird. That's just a very small step.
Just a weird person.
That's...
He has a good personality. He just doesn't express it.
Thank you. As we get into it, oh yeah, you were at the home game. Hey, sorry you're dead. Come back sometime. Book report is due 2 weeks from today. If you're wanting to turn it in early, that would be next Friday, and you get to choose either B credits or extra credit, or turn it in late, also a bold move. Your poetry test corrections, those are due next Friday. Just go and you click on this button on my website. It brings up a blank answer sheet that says corrections, printy, and you just fix the ones you got wrong, and that is it. And then you still have the copy of the poetry test if you want to take a look at that. And then I do have the ebook version. And then as we pointed out, this big part in red with the ebook version, although it is there to be used, you can't use it during class. You have to have a papery copy. One, you like to write in it, and two, because, you know, teaching your responsibilities and stuff like that is really an important part of school. Because apparently schools where learning happens, I just found that out. Someone told me to download it.
Well, seriously?
I know. Don't let that spread until I start trying it. With your books, I'll give you guys the homework tomorrow, but to help you make the homework easier, I will tell you as we're going through and doing the reading of it, the different parts in there where I highlighted it and then connected it to people I know. That's all I'm looking for you to do, is just find the different parts and then highlight them and then connect them to people you know. For me, it was on that first page, the prologue, where it says, we were all good kids, and we were really good kids, not a single kid in the shadows ever done anything bad. I highlighted that, put me in junior high, because I was a goody-goody two-shoes when I was in junior high. Then below that, it says delinquent. You guys know what a delinquent is?
It's a bad person that has a bad home life.
Yeah, I highlighted that, put me in high school. Because I went from a goody-goody in junior high to a not-so-goody-goody when I was in high school.
Too bad.
Choices.
He's a good personality, just doesn't.
And then at the bottom, I think I told you I did that highlight the part where I said the nightmares about werewolves and dumb things like that.
Oh, yeah.
My daughter had nightmares and things like that.
I have nightmares.
I think it was probably from having me as a parent. After that intro, you're like, oh, I understand. I have nightmares too.
I was going to say that.
So it's the same, but she's better now. I'm still her parent. I think she's just gotten used to it. She like built up a tolerance for my crazy. She's like, I'm okay now, Dad. So we're getting there.
I love you.
Now back to chapter Stupid Talk, and that's where we get a chance to begin. Oh, wait. We're going to mention this person coming up in the book that I talked about with you guys yesterday.
Yeah, sure.
It looks like young Lindsay Lohan.
And so I heard the Little Debbie is not the same person from the Little Debbie snacks. It does look the same. It's just another adorable child with
Lindsay
curls.
Lohan.
And so that's what they're going to talk about here. What?
Isn't there a drink called Shirley?
There is. And that is, it's a Sprite with like cherry syrup in it.
That's Lindsay Lohan. Does that look like Lindsay Lohan?
They don't. Shirley Temple with alcohol is
But
different.
like really young.
Shirley Temple by definition doesn't have alcohol.
Dude, that's so.
Or someone's giving you the wrong drink. Probably something talking.
Lindsay Lohan.
Chapter Stupid Talk.
Chapter 1. Oh, what's it?
I know, they don't have chapter numbers. They're all just titles.
Wait, can you ask a question?
Yeah.
Yes, Jake. Is that why my yellow tube sitting on the back of that? Probably.
So on the first, first real page, it says like
Prologue.
Oh, that.
Which means before the story begins, like background.
It
Prequel.
has like kids.
No, Mr. Brovicast is the epilogue.
Epilogue's at the end.
Oh, yeah, but I wrote it down.
Yeah, epilogue means at the end, prologue at the beginning. That's right, you were trying to learn. It happens at school. Chapter Stupid Talk. It was the strangest place for anyone to have a wedding. Whoever came up with the idea of having weddings there must have had a very sick mind. I mean, this town has to be the only town in the history of the world that has weddings in a cemetery.
What?
Anyway, it was the first day of September, and we all stood there in the rose garden at the very edge of Shady Bluff Memorial Park, sipping punch from tiny cups and stuffing our faces with little cheese hors d'oeuvres, waiting for the wedding to start. Cheryl's mom was getting married. Cheryl had been nervously chewing the lip of her cup until there was none of it left, and checking to see if her hair was still in place. She had a good reason to be nervous, since it was her mother's wedding, and she was about to have a new father, but that wasn't the only reason she was nervous. I just know they're going to ask me to sing, Cheryl mumbled under her breath. Huh? Said Randall, her younger brother. Sing. They're going to ask me to sing. Don't be dumb. People don't sing in cemeteries. Which was a pretty good point. No, I mean later, at the house, during the party, they always ask me to sing. Randall rolled his eyeballs so far back, you could almost hear them turning in his head. Like when? I highlighted that one and put my first period, because I have 2 girls in my first period, and every time I do anything, they roll their eyes at me. It just makes me laugh, so I mock them nonstop. Yeah. And so everybody like anything, like, you got your books?
Can you put me in your
So it's good stuff.
Do me.
Kid who loses points all the time for talking. Highlight. Good job. Cheryl thought for a moment, then a smirk spread over her face. Like at your birthday party? She said triumphantly. She looked at me, but I knew better than to stick my nose in this one. My nose had been whacked many times for being where it never should have been in the first place. This was their argument. Yeah, well, guess what? I got news for you, sis. Nobody asked you. You got up there and sang anyway, all on your lonesome. That's not true. Somebody asked me. Who? I don't remember who. Doesn't matter. The point is, I was asked, and as I recall, everyone clapped. They clapped because I blew out the candles. Well, okay, that too. But they liked the way I led Happy Birthday. I kept them all in tune. You were just louder than everyone else, you mean, and you didn't have to stand on a chair. That was embarrassing. I highlighted that having to stand on a chair and being that was embarrassing. And I put in my classroom because whenever we give speeches, you give them speeches standing on a chair. And it's to help embarrass you to make you get over giving speeches. Are you lying to us? No, I am not. You'll find out soon. Yeah, the same thing.
That was fun.
There you see, some kids think it's fun.
I had to look at it though.
Could I be student of the month?
Someone has to lead, demanded Cheryl. It's like the national anthem at a ball game. Someone has to lead it, or everyone sings at the wrong time, out of tune, and it sounds lousy. It was about this time that I forced my ears closed and tuned the 2 of them out. True, Cheryl and Randall were my best friends, but there's only so much stupid talk a human brain can listen to. And when Cheryl and Randall got started, they could stupid talk each other. Their mouths were out. I turned off my brain whenever my parents did it. I turned off my brain whenever my friends did it. I highlighted that part and put stupid talk and put down my students. And then the turning off my brain whenever my parents talked, I put down my students again. Because whenever I talk, you guys turn off your brains.
Yeah, there's no brain to turn
Yeah,
off.
Jake does stupid talk.
You guys attach yourself before I could.
Oh, I'm just saying.
I was closer friends with Cheryl than I was with Randall. In fact, you could say that Cheryl and I were best friends. She'd been my best friend all my life, or as far back as I could remember. I mean, back to the days when it was all right for little boys to play with little girls, because we didn't really know the difference. And through the time when everyone would make fun of us, because boys were supposed to do boys things with boys, and girls were supposed to do girls things with girls. Now, no one much bothered us, because at 14, everyone has more sense. Besides, people envied us because everyone was so sure we were a lot more than we really were, if you know what I mean. Other kids always think that kind of thing if you're friends with a girl. To make sure, what is it that he means?
Girlfriend.
Everyone thinks they're going out, but they're not. They're just good friends until later in the book. Anyway, neither Cheryl nor Randall knew when to shut up or when to give up, since they were always so convinced that they were right. They argued like lawyers, which is something they both got from their mother, who is a lawyer. This time, however, I knew for a fact that Randall was right. No one had asked Cheryl to sing at that party. The only person that was asked to sing was Cheryl's cousin, Rebecca. And luckily, Cheryl was out back when it happened, or else she would have been in an evil mood for the rest of the day. Cheryl hated Rebecca, about as much as I hated Austin Pace, but I'll leave that for later. You just watch, said Cheryl. Mom will come over to me and ask me to sing when she and Paul have their first dance. I'll bet you. You're on. I'd bet you money, but I wouldn't want to make you feel too bad. Fine. It's settled then, I said, just to shut them up. The winner gets no money, but will get to hang their victory over the other person's head for the rest of their life. All right? Fine. Fine. Good. Now, both of you, shut up. Looks like you're going to start. In a few minutes, Randall and Cheryl left to join the bridal party, which would come down the aisle along with the bride. My parents found me, and we went to sit in the rows of chairs by the little vine-covered gazebo in which the wedding would take place. The air was still warm that day, as if it had forgotten autumn was coming pretty soon, but the trees, remembered, you could tell that they were just about ready to start turning colors. It was a nice day for a wedding. Cheryl came down the aisle with the rest of the bridesmaids. I knew she hated all that makeup and hairspray, but I have to admit, I'd never seen her look so beautiful, even more beautiful than her mother did in her wedding dress. Of course, I couldn't tell Cheryl that. She tended to punch people who told her she looked beautiful. As the ceremony went on, I saw Cheryl's cousin Rebecca on the other side of the aisle. She sat there like a little princess, all 4 feet of her, pretending to be the cutest thing on earth, like she was taking Shirley Temple lessons or something. Even just sitting, you could sense that air about her, like she was the one in Cheryl's family that everyone adored, and she knew it. I could see why Cheryl resented her. Who wouldn't? All that pretend sweetness all rolled up into one tiny body. What made it even more irksome for Cheryl was that next week, Rebecca would make her grand entrance into our junior high and would, as always, set out to top anything Cheryl had ever done. Quick timeout. Who are they comparing to Shirley Temple?
Rebecca.
And who's Rebecca?
Rebecca.
Cheryl's cousin.
The cousin!
And so their reference to Shirley Temple is going to pop up a couple different times. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a quick video of her.
Of who? Ew.
Oh, is it the cracker?
Oh
It
no.
is the cracker one.
I've seen that one.
I have fun swallowing animals one by one. In every bowl of soup I see lions and tigers watching me. I make them jump right through a hoop. Those animal crackers in my soup. When I get hold of the big bad wolf, I push him under the ground.
Oh,
And I bite him in a million bits, and I don't pull him right down.
that's messed up.
When they're inside me where it's dark, I walk around like Noah's Ark. I stuff my tummy like a goop with animal crackers in my soup.
She's like 99 now, right?
How old is she now?
99.
I thought she's definitely 5.
80s, something like that.
Whoa!
She's so cute.
How old is that? How old is that baby?
30s?
She lied.
Oh,
No, I think so. Unless she died recently. But she was, I mean...
she had bars. She could
Eating that.
So yeah, that was when she was real little. That's when they're talking about this little girl being all like, I'm so adorable. That's who they're trying to say she's like.
What's she look like now?
Not so good. Well, the wedding went fine, and so did the first half of the party back in Cheryl's backyard. It was when the band started its second set that things started to change. It seemed that Cheryl was having such a great time dancing and jabbering at anyone out of ear that she forgot all about her little bet with Randall back in the old graveyard rose garden. It could have gone forgotten, and no one, not even Randall, would have cared, but something happened. Cheryl and I were dancing quite a lot, since we both like to dance and were tiring ourselves out, when the lead singer ended the song and began talking. How we doing out there? He asked the guests. A few people mumbled, good, great, said the lead singer. Now we have a very special request. I understand there's a young lady here who's quite a singer. I knew it, said Cheryl, and she cleared her throat half a dozen times. And we have a very special request from the bride for her to come up here and give us a song, continued the singer. Cheryl cracked her knuckles, which made me wince, and then cleared her throat again. Randall, from across the yard, caught her gaze, amazed that his sister was actually going to win. So maybe if we give her a great big hand, she'll come on up and sing for us? Cheryl bit her lip, leaned forward, sure that the eyes of the whole world were looking at her. The singer put on a big smile. Let's hear it for Rebecca! Cheryl took one step forward, and then it hit her. You could almost hear her jaw drop open. People began to applaud. Randall began to laugh. Then he turned to Cheryl, scratched his head, and gave her his best monkey impersonation. Cheryl ignored him and then turned to me. For a split second, she had that look in her eye that you only see in movies about people possessed by the devil, but the look faded. I highlighted that part, by the way, and put myself.
It's okay.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I'm coming to terms
really?
with it.
Don't worry, I was gonna do it. Let me see. Okay.
She sighed and said, well, that just figures, doesn't it? Nah, you should go up there and sing with her. Nope, I wasn't asked. Darn if I'm going to make a fool of myself like she's going to. Rebecca stepped onto the patio where the band was. She was all of 12, but looked more like she was 9, even younger with the cutesy dress she was wearing. Surely temple lessons. The band began to play the requested song, and Rebecca began to pretend she was a rock star. Personally, I thought that Cheryl sang a little bit better, but what do I know? Needless to say, Cheryl and I didn't dance. We sat down at a table. I could feel all the food and dancing already taking its toll on my stomach, or maybe it was just the song. You know, the second best never get any credit, not even from your parents. You're not second best. No, I am. They're right. She does sing better than me. Cheryl played with a fork on somebody else's dessert plate that had been left there when somebody else had gotten up to dance. But you know what really ticks me off? It's that singing is the thing I do best. I mean, if there was anything else that I could really do well, it wouldn't be so bad. But I can't. All I can really do is sing, you know? She tapped the icing-covered fork a few times, and then a smile appeared on her face. I wish we were back in the cemetery. Why? Because if we were, sweet little Becky would never make it out of there alive. And then she laughed that sinister laugh reserved for mad scientists. Oh, you wouldn't hurt her and you know it. Yeah, but I can have lots of fun pretending, can't I? She put down the fork and thought for a moment. Let's see, what could we do? We could wire her braces shut so she couldn't sing, only hum. Pretty good, I said, smiling. How about putting hydrochloric acid in her punch? No. Sarah said, getting excited. We'll get an enormous cork, cover it with super glue, drop it in the barrel on Halloween, and when it's her turn to bob for apples. I laughed. Wait, no, we scare her so much. She screams so loud, she could never sing again. No mess, no evidence. What genius. How about we send her in for a tonsillectomy, but we write on her chart to remove her vocal cords instead. You're sick, Cheryl. Look who's talking, Jared. We both laughed for a while, then looked over at little Miss Goldenthroat, holding the microphone like she was born with it in her hands, and we laughed some more. Don't you ever imagine doing nasty things to people that really tick you off like that? She asked. I highlighted that and put down many of my kids in third period. That was a question I didn't even have to think about.
I imagine that.
So, that was a question I didn't even have to think about. Like, every day, I said. And I'll bet I know who it is. She giggled. She knew who, all right. It didn't take much thinking to figure out. It was Austin Pace. My very good friend, Austin Pace. My buddy, my teammate, my pal. It's kind of weird feeling to hate a friend. You don't know whether to go and have fun together or punch him out. Not that I would ever punch Austin out. It's just that sometimes you like to think about it, that's all. Kind of like throwing darts at someone's picture. The song ended, everyone applauded, and then the lead singer got on the microphone again and said, "Let's hear it for Rebecca!" The applause got louder. Cheryl grimaced. "You want to hear another one?" asked the lead singer. Cheryl looked at me with that "please God, no" expression on her face, but the applause got louder. Rebecca mumbled something to the band. They nodded, started up again, another big dance number. Rebecca began to bounce around again and strut across the stage, all proud. And then Cheryl and I watched some old relatives toss flowers at Rebecca from the floral centerpieces on the tables, and she put one behind her ear. "I think I'm going to be sick," said Cheryl. as we watched a scene that was beginning to resemble a freak show.
Stop.
We're going to pause, we're not completely stop. On my quick question, I'm going to take 3 of you, if we have, anyone who's made connections in the book to the people that you know or something like that. McKenna?
My little sister,
Which part?
when she was sitting all pretty,
Your little sister thinks she's all adorable too.
I think so.
Works for me. Dominic?
Me and my brother, when it says, when it says, I hated Rebecca,
Why do you hate your
Cheryl hated Rebecca, like, because me and my brother hate each other.
1, I'm sorry to hear that. 2, good connection. And Tina?
No, he's young.
I said, I think I'm going to be sick.
And that's connected to?
Me, after watching that video in science.
Okay. I thought you were going to talk about my class for a second. I was like, ow, that hurt. But okay, that makes more sense.
That's it. Looking at your face.
It's like being in your class like every day, like 3rd grade. I'm like, oh. No, but you try. But I will come back. We'll do more in a little bit. I'm going to try and get a little bit farther into this evening. We have scope.
I don't like Shirley Temple.
There we go. They're going to talk about, at the track, there's a scene they talk about at the top of the oval of the track, when the kids goes running around it. They just mean like with the football field at the very end, the kid's going to go running all the way across. Chapter, Austin Pace. In our town, high school doesn't start in 9th grade. 100 years ago, some founding father decided that 7th through 9th grades belonged in junior high school, and no one's bothered to change it since. It was the first day of the last year of junior high, and Austin was already at it. He was even early that morning, jogging around the track. Coach Schuler hadn't even come in yet, and there was Austin in last year's gym shorts, running in circles for the whole world to see. Now, I'm certain he was doing it for that reason, so the whole school could walk by and say, wow, Austin's really dedicated, isn't he? Well, I was dedicated too. I didn't flaunt it in public. Austin is good at a large number of things. He's good enough for people to notice, but not enough to be labeled a brain or a jock or a nerd or anything. In short, he's what every kid wants to be, or at least what I always wanted to be. He is, in his own way, perfection on 2 feet, and he knows it. And I hated him. He didn't know that. To him, I was just one of his many friends. If he'd been a year or 2 older than me, he might have been someone I looked up to. Can you believe that? He loves it when younger kids look up to him. I'm not younger, though. I'm 3 months older than him, and he never really treated me like a friend or even like an equal. He kind of treated me like a worm, or at least tried to make me feel like one. Now, I used to think it was because I was the one who started up that now infamous nickname that still plagues his existence, Lost in Space. The name stuck to him like Velcro, and he could never peel it off. Yeah, I used to think that was why he treated me like he did, but that wasn't it. It ran deeper and stronger than that. You see, unlike everyone else, I was the only one who came close to being a threat to him. Like I said, Austin's good at everything, but there's only one thing he's out and out great at. He could run. As a kid, everyone knew he was fast. He beat everyone he ever challenged, even kids older than him, for as long as I can remember. And for as long as I can remember, I was second fastest. Always the second best runner. It wouldn't have been so bad being second best, but you see, it's what I did best out of everything. Just like Cheryl and her singing. I wasn't outstanding in any of my classes. I wasn't the most popular guy in school. Whatever it was, I was always somewhere in the middle. I was the guy you would never notice. They used to call me the generic kid when I was 10, because at day camp, none of the counselors could remember my name. I just didn't stand out.
What is it?
Yeah. But I could run. And when you're a fast runner, there's nothing like that feeling as you pick up speed. Actually feel your body accelerate. And you realize that the wind isn't a wind at all. It's just you cutting through the still air like a bullet. There's nothing like that feeling when you know that this is what you do well and nobody can take it away. Nobody, but lost in space. I've highlighted that last section for me and just put out cross country, because for me that's why I try to get my cross country girls. It feels like you're running, like you're actually like beating people, yay! But it doesn't always happen, but sometimes I do. Your homework is to not read. Go and work on your book report, maybe, or science or math or anything else. But for me, nothing else.